Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather, and today I am going to be telling you why you need to read Lovely War by Julie Berry. So this video was inspired by Liz Cullen's book club, which is Bev and Books, and she offered me to co-host with her as she did the February pick for her book club, which was Lovely War by Julie Berry. And if you saw my best books of 2019 video, you would know that this made it on the list, and it is one of my favorite books of all time. In fact, it is probably my favorite romance book of all time, and it technically isn't even a romance. So Lovely War by Julie Berry follows two perspectives. One of them takes place in World War II, and the other one takes place in World War I. This book centers around Aphrodite telling the story of her two greatest loves, and there's also a little bonus third romance that we see progress throughout the book. This is a historical fiction, romance, mythology-based story. It is one of those books that is so objectively incredible that it is hard for me to think about someone who wouldn't like this book, because this book really gives everything for everybody. It appeals to the historical fiction audience, it appeals to the romance lovers, it appeals to the mythology fantasy lovers, it appeals to people that both like insta-love and hate insta-love, because the characters, they have an instant attraction towards each other, but because of the war and because of the various circumstances, they grow in their relationships and they develop, and you see how and why these couples are meant for each other. You also get the very heartwarming and hopeful feeling. You also get a ton of humor. This book is so genuinely funny. The interactions between Aphrodite and the various other gods that come onto stage, we have Hephaestus, we have Ares, we have Hades and Apollo. There are a ton of references and conversations that these gods have in context to the human and mortal experience that is so incredibly interesting to read about. The reason that Aphrodite is telling her story is it's kind of a retelling of the capture of Aphrodite and Ares by Hephaestus. If you aren't familiar with the myth, Aphrodite and Ares is caught in a loving embrace by Hephaestus, who is actually Aphrodite's husband, and throughout this book we are given that scenario, and Aphrodite is thus put on trial, and she is trying to make her case for why love and war are inevitable together and why they are so drawn to one another. And it is the absolute most beautiful book that I have perhaps ever read. I absolutely love every single component about this book. It is written so beautifully in a very digestible way. You are switching between multiple perspectives, both from the gods and various couples and various time jumps and all of those things, but it never ever feels choppy and never feels inconsistent. It is so well structured and narrated. It's absolutely beautiful. And I will say, as someone who appreciates Aphrodite more than maybe the average individual, I absolutely loved the portrayal of Aphrodite. It genuinely felt like Julie Berry was possessed by Aphrodite while reading this book, because it feels so real. Aphrodite becomes such a genuine and real person when you read this book, because she really explains what love is, why she does the things that she does, why love is so powerful. Again, why is love and war such a close relationship? You also get this relationship between love and music because Apollo comes on the stage, and both of our couples are very influenced by music. One of our couples is like a piano player, and then the other one is a jazz musician. So again, that appeals to maybe those of you who like music in your books. Here you go. It is such a hopeful and heartwarming book to read. You also get this very interesting parallels between the two couples that we examine. So you have Hazel and James, who, like I said, kind of has that insta-love component to them where they're instantly attracted to each other and they know they have to be together, which again makes sense because Aphrodite is, of course, having her hand in these couples' relationships. So, of course, they are meant to be soulmates and yada, yada, yada. But Hazel and James has that instant connection kind of thing where it's very puppy love, it's very first love, very teenager-esque, that just makes you feel so young and youthful when you read it because it just reminds you of those giddy feelings that you get when you really fall in love with somebody. And it really progresses into so much more, but you get that kind of puppy love aspect. And then you have a different kind of love and relationship with Colette and Aubrey because their circumstances are much more serious, not only because Aubrey happens to be an African-American male and Colette is a white French woman, so you have those stakes and those tensions because it's very dangerous for them to be with each other. So it's definitely a much deeper and intense relationship. But you also have this dynamic of Colette having this trauma and this backstory with a past lover, and she has this problem with letting herself fall in love because she has gone through so much and she doesn't want anybody taken away from her again. So you have this more intense, I hate to say darker, but it's definitely more of a second, third love kind of love where it's very stable and just true and deep and intense, and you just know that they have waited their whole lives to meet each other. So you have this puppy love with this true kind of soulmate relationship, even though they're both soulmates, but I'm sure you guys kind of get what I mean. So you have this examination, and then at the very end you discover that there was an underlining romance the whole time that you didn't entirely see while reading it, which is so incredible. It truly just changed the way that I view these characters, and I am so grateful for it because I now love them so much. I know that I talked a lot about romances, and I know you're gonna be like, Heather, I really am not a romance kind of person, and I would say I totally understand that, and I suppose it would be kind of difficult to recommend this historical romance to a person who doesn't like romance, but I'm still going to tell you to read it anyways because you get so many layers of romance and what love is. You get the puppy love, you get the cheesiness, you get the hallmarkiness between the characters and their cute little one-liners with each other, and you get this development. You see them grow to truly love each other, so you really get the journey of seeing that. And so it's not necessarily that insta love because you still get that slow burn when they are apart from each other, and you see the going through trauma and you see the passion. There's just so many avenues to what romance is, and you see every single aspect of what it entails and what love entails. So I find that a lot of people who don't necessarily care for romance, they don't necessarily like those certain aspects, or they don't like the one-sidedness. But I can say that although this story is fueled by love and fueled by romance, that is what drives the motivations and the plot for these characters. There's just so much more to it than just two people falling in love. It is what that means in the cosmos, because again, you get that relationship with the gods, which also, I will say, brings in the humor aspect and the incredible dynamic between gods and mortals, and how gods view mortals and their actions and their feelings and all of those things. So the gods are they're so funny. I have so many funny tabs in this book. You don't think of this book and you don't think that is going to be as humorous as it is, but it really is so funny to see these immortal beings interact with each other and poke fun at each other. It was such a pleasure to read. It really was. When a certain god comes on the page as the most amazing entrance that I have ever read about, it is my favorite part of the book, and I don't want to spoil it for you because the joy that I felt when he came on the page dressed as he was. If you know, you know. Like I said, I just feel like this book appeals to everybody, and it's also one of those books that appeals to everybody, but I don't think everybody thinks to pick this up, because even if you love historical fiction, you see the mythology aspect and you're like, that's a little strange. I don't know how I feel about that. If you see the romance aspect, you see the historical fiction, and you're like, oh, it's just another World War I historical fiction, boring, which was me. I almost didn't pick this book up, because although I love mythology and I love Aphrodite, I hate World War historical fiction. So I almost didn't pick this up. And so because it has so many strange components and crosses genres so much, I don't think a lot of people think to pick it up, but it's because it crosses genres so much and it has so many things and so many components to it that makes it so perfect for everybody. So even if you don't like World War historical fiction, even if you don't like romance, even if you don't like mythology, which I don't know why you're subscribed to my channel if you don't like mythology, but hey, here you go. If you just take one thing from me and you just, alright, I'll listen to Heather one time and one time only, please let it be that you pick up Lovely War. Pick it up from your library. Read it in the Google sample preview online thing. It's completely free. Just scroll through some of the pages there. Anything you need to do to get your hands on this book, a portion of this book, to determine if this is right for you, I will be happy with that. And if it turns out you somehow don't like this, please first of all message me, because I genuinely can't imagine anybody not liking this, but obviously I'm biased because this is one of my favorite books of all time. But I would applaud you for even taking the chance and trying it out for yourself, because that's really the only thing that you can do. So before I let you go, I do just want to bring a couple quotes into this review just to show you how breathtaking it is and encourage you further to read it, because that's my job and that's what this video is titled and the purpose of it. So as I said, Aphrodite is telling this story and she often talks to the reader, which is another trope that I personally love. I love it when the narrators talk to the reader, and in this book it is so well crafted and so perfectly done. So we have our two main characters, Hazel and James, and they are together and not much context to it. But Aphrodite is of course watching the scene and she says, "As I say, I wasn't interfering, but the whole scene, the street corner, the lamppost, the shadows, the gentle opera spilling down from above, the ruffled nightgown. What was I to do? I am an artist." Yes, you are. Yes, you are. There is this one line that I absolutely have to read. Hazel is telling this one quote to James, and it is absolutely beautiful. It says, "You're a brand new piece of sheet music," she says slowly, "for a song which once played, I'd swear I'd always known." Beautiful, breathtaking, spectacular, never been seen before, never been done before. I could just bathe in a quote. I don't know what that means, but I've said it and there you go. And finally, I'm going to leave this one quote because I think it truly encapsulates what Julie Berry was doing and what Aphrodite's purpose in telling this story was. And it says, "Let them start their dreadful wars, let destruction rain down, and let plague sweep through. But I will still be here, doing my work, holding humanity together with love like this." I truly just cannot put into words, even though I have filmed a probably 15-minute video talking about this book, but I don't think I could properly articulate the feelings and how lovely this book is. And with that closing pun, I will say that, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary folks, you need to read Lovely War by Julie Berry, because I said so. Thank you, and good night. Alright, you guys, so that is the end of this video. Let me know down below what the timestamp was when you added this book to your Amazon cart, because I would like to know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!